Well, things have finally settled down around here. There's a new contract with the union, and everybody's back to work. Now, this was a very different place just a little while ago. It was really touch and go at times. Emotions were running high. Violence was just a misstep away. Well, that's just a simple entrance gate out there now, but back then, it was a place of confrontation. The picketers that walked there could be very intimidating to anyone who wanted to go through. We had old friends shouting insults at old friends. People were afraid to come to work, even managers. Some days, even my own secretary had to have a special escort to get through. When the first labor rumblings began, I wasn't overly concerned. I thought we were ready. After all, we had made certain contingency plans and preparations. But the truth is, this was my first strike. I mean, the first where I was in charge, where I was expected to lead the company through the whole complicated process. I can tell you one thing, we would never have made it through without help. Not a chance. What advice would I give to any manager facing a possible strike today? I'd say at the very first sign of trouble, call in the best strike security specialist you can find. Not just any security firm that can post a few guards and call it strike security. Be sure it's a firm that truly specializes in maintaining order during labor disputes. That's where we were lucky. The reason we were lucky is because one of our people recommended the Special Response Corporation. And that's when we really began to get prepared. Within hours, Special Response had highly trained personnel on site, everyone with military or police experience. We had a lot to learn and a lot to do, and Special Response wasted no time getting started. If you're facing the possibility of labor unrest, and you probably are since you're watching this presentation, I invite you to follow us through a summary of the training and preparation program they put us through. We only have time here to hit the high spots, but I think you'll find it's valuable training for you too. Now, don't distract yourself with taking notes. You'll receive a written piece with all required information. For now, just relax and listen and learn. The first thing we learned was to break down the process into 3 phases. First, the pre-strike planning phase, strike operations action, and post-strike critique. Now, here's one of Special Response's highly qualified strike security specialists who's going to explain shortly how to get started. Now, Special Response began our pre-strike planning immediately. First, they helped us decide whether we should plan a shutdown during the strike or attempt to conduct business as usual. Both call for securing facilities. Both call for appropriate communications with supervisors, workers, suppliers, customers, contractors, carriers, law enforcement, and firefighters. And we developed a contingency plan for both, although it was our intention to continue operations and continue serving our customers. And that meant that we had to plan for the special challenges of safely moving personnel and materials through picket lines. We had our work cut out for us.
The first step in pre-strike planning is to survey your current security program. This should include all corporate policies, procedures, and training activities. It's highly recommended that you employ outside strike security specialists for this purpose. Choosing a firm with extensive experience in planning and implementing strike security will pay big dividends. A company like Special Response will assure thoroughness, will bring objectivity and insights gained from assisting many companies who have had faced similar challenges. In a crisis situation, the right people are everything. Next, training sessions should be held with all management personnel who are likely to play a key role during a labor dispute. A review of work stoppages in the past should also be conducted. There are important insights to be gained from similar situations, especially those led by the same union. Lastly, a comprehensive inventory should be compiled of all physical security assets. This report should also include specific procedures in emergency situations.
When should all this planning begin? Well, it's never too early to start. Begin several months before a labor agreement expires. After all, you're still going to have to perform the same preparations. You'll just give yourself more time to get the work done and more time to negotiate a settlement before you enter a crisis situation. Should you keep your strike plan secret? Well, absolutely not. Special response taught us that it's much better to be open about it. Thorough planning is actually a show of management strength. Union officials will see that your company will be well prepared. They'll know that you'll be harder to discredit, disrupt, or damage financially. A thorough and open planning process will also demonstrate your company's resolve.
A complete list for strike preparation will vary from company to company. For now, let's just say that everyone should understand completely what his or her responsibilities are and exactly what to do in every possible situation. A detailed strike operations manual should be produced, spelling out everyone's duties and all procedures.
Now, right from the beginning, it's important for management to establish a zero-tolerance policy for all physical threats and destruction of company property. You should also be prepared to protect key management personnel and their families with bodyguards, home alarms, and cell phones if they're threatened. Equip office phones and the home phones of managers with recording devices and caller ID to document threats. Depending on your situation, you may also need to plan transportation to and from the plant. Now, this may involve satellite parking, carpools, busing, etc. You'll certainly want to assign trained strike observers to document picketers' activities.
A lot of preparation is just common sense. You'll want to update all firefighting and hazmat equipment, test all alarms and closed-circuit TV systems. You should strengthen perimeter security to minimize sabotage. You'll also want to establish a key control system that is closely supervised by management.
It's critical to understand that a strike is also a legal contest, subject to certain ground rules. You want to conduct yourselves carefully and document any union misconduct. The trained strike observers of Special Response will help you tremendously here. These highly trained specialists have the photography, video, and communications equipment needed to provide valid evidence in court. They'll document any violence, property damage, and blocking of those trying to enter. If you can prove that union members have behaved illegally, you may be able to get a court order that reduces the size of the picket line and requires it to be peaceful. This will bolster employee morale, improve your public image, give you negotiating leverage, and limit interference with production.
Proper lighting can prevent a host of problems. You should evaluate both interior and exterior lighting, especially around the plant's perimeter. Move all materials at least 6 feet from inside and outside the property line fences to discourage fence climbing. It's also important to advise local police, fire, and emergency medical officials of the possibility of a strike. Bring them to your facility in advance to discuss how they can help protect it. But of course, you also need to establish your own security response team that can take quick and effective action. U.S. Mail and other vendors may not deliver during a strike. You'll need to make other arrangements.
About 45 days from the possible strike date, you should notify all suppliers, delivery companies, contractors, and other possible visitors to your facility, assuring them that you intend to continue operating. A few days from the strike date, you should send a registered letter to those possible visitors telling them what the situation is and giving them the phone numbers and email addresses where they can stay in touch. And then, with your pre-strike planning accomplished, make it a point to review particulars daily because things can change rapidly. As we said earlier, when pre-strike planning is completed, an appropriate strike operations manual must be created for everyone to refer to. Well, rather than try to construct a specific strike operations plan here, let's just go over some universal guidelines that'll help to shape any plan. Now, labor law has very clearly established certain guidelines about what management can and cannot do during a strike. And management had better be very aware of these points or they can easily find themselves charged with unfair labor practices. Well, what can you do? Well, for one, you do have a fundamental right to operate your business free from union interference. They can withhold their labor and picket peacefully, but they cannot obstruct the conduct of business. You also have a right to request and receive police protection from mass picketing or other coercion and violence.